Alright folks, here we are. We are out on Smith Mountain Lake here, up in the Roanoke River section. We're going to get at it and try to do a little bit of crappie fishing. Actually, I'm not going to lie to you, I already started doing a little bit of crappie fishing because my tolerance for not being out fishing is getting less all the time. And I missed the whole week this week because of thunderstorms. So we had a little break in the thunderstorms. We're going to come out here and do a little fishing. I got a buy on some of those Berkeley power baits, the minnows, and then I dipped the tips of the tails and dyed them chartreuse, which is always a hot color for me for the crappie. So we're going to roll up on our spot here. Got a little tree sunk in the water up here, real similar to the place I was fishing in the last video. And we're going to mess around a little bit here, and then probably head up the river and fish some deeper water and see what that holds. It's late in the evening. It was hot today. We had a thunderstorm earlier. It's mid-90s right now. It was 102 yesterday, so the water's been warming up. The surface temperature right now is 84 degrees, so heat of the summer. Let's see if we can get a few to bite tonight. Well, my plan to fish live bait didn't work out real well. It's so hot. I had I guess about 3 dozen minnows in there, and by the time I got here they were not looking too lively, even though I had an aerator in them and I had a little ice in them too, just to keep them cool. But it is hard to keep minnows this time of year, so we're gonna see what we can do about maybe doing some jig fishing. I got a few other things I want to try. I tied up a few hair jigs, and if I can locate a few here, I may do some hair jigs. I may do some double rigs. And here comes the bane of my existence, a couple of wave runners. I don't know about y'all, but I just can't stand fishing around wave runners. I know they're fun. I know people enjoy them, and I'm glad they do. I just can't stand them while I'm trying to fish. Yeah, we're into one here. I actually put another one in the box and forgot to film it, but yeah, they're hitting pretty slow today. Not a bad one. That was a Berkeley power bait that he took. We're gonna throw him in the box, and I might end up culling him later. I don't know if y'all can see it up the river here, but some of those markers out there, those are jugs that somebody made up and threw out, and I'm gonna check them on the way by just to make sure. I'm not out here to give anybody a hard time, but legally in the state of Virginia, you're not supposed to have them out of your sight, and you're also supposed to have reflective material on them and your name and address. And I'm gonna check them and see if they have that. And I think I know. I saw a boat come by a while earlier, and I think I know who set them. But if anything, I'll just tell them. A lot of people aren't aware. They see this stuff on YouTube and they think, boy, that's a fun way to catch catfish, and it is. But then they don't check on the specifics of the law. And good reminder, wherever you are, oops, there's another one. Wherever you are and watching, yeah, that's a bluegill. They're still spawning. And I could tell that they were messing with my jigs earlier. It's not quite deep enough water I'm fishing here to keep them from doing that. But yeah, like I was saying, wherever you are, whatever state you're in, if you see something on YouTube, whether I do it or somebody else that you follow does it, check your local laws and make sure you know what you're doing before you go out there and do it, because it can ruin your day pretty quick by getting a ticket doing something fun like fishing. And there's reasons for some of that stuff. I know I don't agree with all the rules and regulations either, but it's important that you try to do things the right way, because I think we're a real voice for conservation and for just the way things ought to be. There's an image of sportsmen, and I think it's one of the things I believe. I think it's our job to improve the image that sportsmen have, because non-sportsmen have a kind of a preconceived idea that we're all just out here trying to kill everything in sight and all of that. And you know, if you're passionate about the outdoors, nothing could be further from the truth. So I think it's important that we do what we can and abide by the law. Alright, we got Old Reliable here. This is one of those spots that pretty well always produces for me. Oops. Yep, it just tried to again, but I couldn't set the hook. As you may or may not be able to see on the fish finder there, there's a little bit of a brush pile here. There's one. Yeah, not a bad one. Come on in here. Let's take a little ride. Catch and release. Crisco Lake. Doesn't feel like a bad one. Yeah, we can deal with that. Party going on in here. Alright, so I think we got 4 of them in the box. And shoot, I mean, I don't see a reason to stop now. I said last time, groceries getting expensive. And we gonna make our own groceries here, I think. Watch my line if you can see it. This is a pretty shallow spot. We're in about 8 foot of water here. Bit of a mud flat. Excuse the train noise, you'll hear that behind me. There's a hit. Boom. Up. And I missed him. There's another one. There we go. We got him that time. Yeah, you might slick me one time, but 2's asking a lot. As I was saying earlier, I think I mentioned this. I got this counter now, right here, that I'm counting all my fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I have an awful hard time once I get excited, and fishing gets me excited. I have an awful hard time remembering how many of them went in the box. And that's kind of one of my nightmares, is getting back to the dock and having Officer Green Jeans waiting for me and have to explain to him why I have 26 instead of my limit of 25. It would be inadvertent because I never looked to do something like that, but I figure that gives me a little extra insurance anyway if I click the clicker every time I throw one in the box. So there's one. Oh, he's angry too. He is angry. Not a bad fish. I'll fry that. This one's been caught before, looks like. So he ought to have known better. In the box he goes. Other things you want to keep an eye out for when you're out fishing. No matter what time of year it is, try to take note of what kind of conditions you have as far as temperature and wind and all those sorts of things. And you know, I'd recommend, if you're trying to learn something, keep a little journal. There's one. Keep a journal. If you come out and you catch a limit of them, and you'd like to be able to repeat those kind of conditions in the areas where you caught them. That's a good thing to do. I used to do that. I don't do it so much anymore because I file some of that stuff away. And but even where I'm fishing right now, you know, I used to not so much fish this section of the river, or I would run a lot further anyway. I shouldn't say I didn't fish it. I did, but you know, conventional wisdom was the fish were a lot deeper in the summer, so that's what I thought, and I would go for much deeper water. and I did not catch as many fish. Once I figured out that they were here at other times, well, I started coming and I started fishing it and I started catching them. So now I know that, and I save the gas. I don't run as far in my boat. I save the time. You know, I can be here in 15 minutes, you know, launched in the water, on the water, catching fish in 15 minutes, whereas some of those other spots took me half hour, 45 minutes. So learn some of what you're doing that way. And the other thing is, I think, oops, oh, that was almost another one. What I'm sort of expecting to see here is towards evening, I think I'm going to start seeing some schools of shad. Usually at this point in the summer, you start seeing that. You start seeing schools of bait coming up onto these flats, and right before dark, stuff starts tearing them up. And as the summer goes on, I start finding schooling stripers too. They're usually not big ones, they're usually little, but as the water cools off, the bigger ones start coming in. That's just something that I've noticed, and every year I kind of look for that. And of course, anywhere that you've got school and bait like that, you can catch other fish, whether it's largemouths or even schools of crappie will follow them. But towards dark, as it's cooling off, that's something to be looking for. Look for bait on the water, and fish busting on the surface. This one's a little smaller fish. Yep, we're not even gonna put him in the box. We're gonna send him right back. Boy, they are still in here. Piles and piles of them. This is a good example of one of those spots. If I was going only by my fish finder, I'm not sure that I would be fishing here, because they are stacked so close to one another that unless you have a real, you know, live scope or one of the top-notch fish finders, something like that, it isn't going to look like there's piles of fish here. But I mean to tell you, they are here, and you can catch them one after the other. Hey, look, the jet skis are coming in tandem now. Hey, God bless them. I hope they have fun. I just wish that they would use the 40 yards on the other side of the lake instead of splitting the difference and coming right at me. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's one fun thing about fishing, is there's so many different types, so many different styles. For me, it all breaks down to what you have confidence in. I really enjoyed for a lot of years, whoops, man, I lost him. I really enjoyed for a lot of years fly fishing. That was the only fishing I did. I didn't even own any spinning tackle until about 5 years ago. I tied my own flies, and when my father got into fly fishing, he became a top-notch fly tyer. Very, very good. He's a lot more patient than I am, and I did my part by letting him supply me with flies and then sending him pictures of the fish that I'd catch with him. So I did that for a lot of years. And then I got into the crappie fishing, I don't know, about 5 years ago. Started in a canoe. I figured I had nothing to prove to anybody because I'd done my bit with the artificials and, you know, with flies at that. So I fish mostly live bait. And you say what you want for all you artificials only purists out there, but you know, if you want to catch fish, live bait is probably the way to guarantee you're going to catch fish. You don't have to have a whole lot of skill or technique or anything else. So, and I just like learning different things and trying different things. You know, I learned a long time ago that, hey, it might not be your favorite thing, but give it a shot and figure out when and where you might want to use that technique, because sooner or later you're not going to be able to catch them doing you know, the things that you're used to doing or the things that you're most comfortable or most want to do. You're going to need to know where to go and what to do in that situation. So I think it's really good to learn as much as you can about as many different styles of fishing as you can. So for most of us, it started really simply, and then the older we got experience at different types of fishing. And unfortunately, there becomes this point where I don't know what drives it. Maybe more disposable income, or maybe jealousy over the guy in the sparkly bass boat that just went by you. But we start thinking that we need more gadgets and toys. And if you cruise the internet and watch fishing videos, there's plenty of people to tell you, yeah, you need more gadgets and toys to catch fish, and that is simply not the case. Just fish. Keep it simple. Fish as simply as possible. Learn about the fish's behavior if you're talking about hunting or whatever. Learn about the animal's behavior. Learn about where they're going to be, when they're going to be there, and how you can find them. And then you can start playing with presentations and all that, but you know, whatever. Fish within your means and enjoy what you're doing. You're not going to get more enjoyment out of it with $5,000 worth of electronics. You know, maybe some do, but I don't think that you have to have $5,000 worth of electronics on your boat to come out here and enjoy catching crappie. And that's not to knock anybody, but if you're just getting into this, don't feel like you have to lay out a whole huge investment to get a boat and gadgets and lures and 25 different rods and all those sorts of things. You know, if you can get a $20 combo from Walmart and a few simple baits and things like that, just come out here and catch a few fish and learn a few things, and you'll have every bit as much fun. I would guarantee it. So that's my 2 cents worth. Y'all know what time it is again. It's time for Greg to humiliate himself with a bait caster again. These things are smooth. Man, I'm glad I didn't have my camera on for that, because then I probably would have had to show it to you. That was just a complete, well, I'm probably not done yet. That was a complete circus right there. I hooked everything in sight first. Darn near fell out of the boat unhooking it. I just want to keep it real for you, you know? After a bit of a break, we got into another one here. Boy, he got that jig down into him. I mean to tell you. Number 7. We're not setting the world on fire here tonight, but for my family and the way I do them, 8 crappie, 8 keeper crappie is a pretty good meal. There's 3 of us in the house, and that's kind of what I try to do. If I don't have at least that, I usually turn them loose. But usually if you can get that many, it's pretty easy to get a couple more. So I don't think you can see this, but there's a whole mess of raccoons up on the bank there. I'm gonna head up to them. It's like an adult and 4 kits, I think. She's right in there. They don't really worry too much about you when you're this close on the water. What are you doing? This is one of the fun things about being out on the water. It's the kind of stuff you don't get to see if you're sitting on the couch. I really enjoy it. What are you doing over there? She's looking for crayfish. She's turning over those rocks. Yep, she got one right there. Just took a swim too. Did he get away from you? Yep, every once in a while one gets away from them too, I think. I had one not too long ago here that took a real interest in my slip cork, and she jumped right in the water after it. It was pretty funny. Yeah, we messed around for a while and tried to catch a few bass and checked a few other spots. I caught a few more, but nothing real interesting and nothing that would have been too exciting for you. So there's one. Not a bad one. Somebody fussed at me last time because I didn't keep. I did keep some, but I guess I didn't show it. And I said, "Boy, you didn't even keep enough to stink up the grease." I thought that was a pretty good line. You can bet that my grease will be stankin'. That's not a bad one there either. Pretty nice. Well, the clicker says it's 10 of them in the bag. I don't know what we got into here, folks. I don't believe it is too a crappie. He come right straight up with it and come up out of the water for it. That's kind of funny. Well, that makes me an even dozen. Here, good even number for me to stop at. I mean, the last cast can never be the last cast. Oh, look at here. One of my last casts ended up with another fine crappie. You know what? I think he's gonna come home with me. Oh, there's one. Boy, it's funny they're hitting it as it's coming up here. The last 3 of them I've caught have hit it all the same way. It's like they almost jumped at it. They must be getting a little more aggressive as it gets closer to evening. And that is 14. Well, folks, I'd like to thank you for coming along with me. I've had an awful good time tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We caught a bunch of fish. I've got 14 of them that we kept. And it's not always about catching a limit, although we probably caught more than a limit, but I don't have to keep every single one I catch. I like to leave a few in the lake. Again, this is just kind of the very beginnings of this channel. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be doing. I'd like to do some different types of fishing. If you have suggestions, by all means, drop me a comment. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, GVS Outdoors, the YouTube channel, GVS Outdoors. I just look forward to doing more of this. We're going to be doing a lot of hunting and a lot of fishing, and the stuff that I like to do and the stuff that interests me, and hopefully it interests you too. So thanks a lot. Next time we'll see what else we can get into. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something. Again, take somebody fishing, teach somebody how to fish, pass on what you know. It's just too much fun to be in the outdoors doing this kind of stuff, and the world needs more good, clean activities like going hunting and going fishing. So pass it on to somebody who doesn't know anything about it. Hey, thanks for coming with me today. Look forward to doing it again. See you.